Here's a video to walk you through how to manage users in OpsInsights. So to manage a user, you'll need to be logged in as a client admin user, and some of the roles that the client admin user is responsible for is actually managing and maintaining the users in their account. And they're also responsible for adding, removing, and assigning reports to those users as well. So I'm currently logged in. I've just logged in as a client admin user for one of our demo accounts here. And I've first been taken to our dashboard, which is where you're directed to when you first log in. And to start out, we'll need to navigate over to the user section. So this is easy to do. Just find users in the left-hand navigation bar here and click on it. When the page initially loads, you'll see a listing of users. One thing that's important to note out here is the page is going to initially load with users that are currently enabled in your account, and it's also going to display internal users only. So enabled is a status that's assigned to a user, so users can either be enabled or disabled in an OpsInsights account, and that's just what their status is, whether they're active. If they're active in your account, they'll be enabled. If they're not active or they don't have the ability to log in or anything like that, they'll be disabled. So that's a user status. And then there's two types of users in OpsInsights. There's an internal user and an external user. So an internal user is any user that works for your company, is employed by your company, and an external user is any user that works with your company in some facet. That would be something like a vendor, that would be a client, perhaps an investor, or something along those lines. They don't work for your company; they work with your company, and it's important that we make that distinct designation, just because what they have access to when they're logged into the OpsInsights is going to be a little bit different. External users are essentially just going to be able to see a dashboard and receive reports, whereas internal users will be able to request reports. They'll be able to see the report library and request access to reports, things of that nature. So to see every single user that's in your account and load them to manage them, you can click on Show Disabled Users. If you click on yes, this is going to show every single user, internal user, regardless of their status, whether they're enabled or disabled. So this will just, if you toggle the switch value to yes, it's going to show the disabled users along with the enabled users. And then finally, we'll toggle the switch value for show external users. So toggling this switch value is going to show external users along with internal users. And it's easy to point out any external user because there will be a tag listed in the name section here that will denote that they're an external user. So if they're an external, they'll have an external tag. If they're internal, they will not have anything. They'll just look like a normal listing. So getting into how to manage a user, it's very simple to do. Just find the user that you're looking for. You can search for them here if they're not listed on the first page, or if you have several pages of users, you can change the page that way as well. But we'll just start with this abstract or vendor user for our purposes. And when you click on their name, a window will appear, and we'll have the ability to change their status. So we can either disable them if they're enabled, or we can re-enable them if they've been disabled. And that's easy to do. Just toggle the switch to whatever status you want them to be. And then whatever it is, when they're updated, that's what they will be updated to, or what they'll stay as. We can also update their contact information, first and last name, email address, phone number, their job title. And we can also update the access roles that are assigned to their user. So an access role is how reports are assigned to users. So reports are first assigned to a role, and then roles are assigned or can be assigned to one or many users. And users can also have many roles assigned to their account as well. So if you need more information about how roles work and or how reports are assigned to users and how that process works, you can see our client documentation site, and it'll be important to take a look at the role section and the user section for you to gain a complete understanding. But if you do have questions above and beyond that, reach out to our support team, support@opsinsights.com. But continuing on here, it's what we want to cover is the access role assignment. So if you want to remove a role, let's say for instance, a role is no longer needed. Let's say that we'll add some roles here quickly, and I'll kind of show you how that works. So we've just loaded a listing of all the roles, external roles that are available for this particular user. And let's say that this is how it loaded. We can click the X button to remove them, or if you want to add a role to a user, like I demonstrated here, we can go in and click select roles, and we can click on anything that we want, and that will assign a role to a user as well. So that is the main functionality is when it comes to managing a user, their status, their contact information, and the reports they see. There are two more options that you'll have, or two more things that you'll have available to you when you're managing users. You'll be able to reset their user level criteria values. So Ops Insights has 3 levels of criteria. There's global, role, and user. So the global values are set by the Ops Insights staff. So when you're viewing a report in your report library, if it's not assigned to a role, it will load in any global values that the staff has selected for each report. And then role level values are applied or made when you actually create a role or you assign reports to a role. So the client admin actually completes that role report assignment process. And during that process, default values are set for each role. So when any user loads their dashboard, and the dashboard's going to load with those role level default values. But they'll also have the ability to set values on the user level as well. So if they want to go in and look at a certain client or look for files that are assigned to a certain status, anything of that nature, they can actually go in and make those changes themselves and save those values on the user level. But what can happen, especially if you're managing roles or if they've inadvertently selected a value and saved it when they weren't intending to, it could cause a discrepancy of the results from user to user, even if they're assigned to the same role. So if that is ever the case, and you hear of a user complaining that report's no longer returning the results that they were expecting to see, chances are that they've inadvertently saved a default value on the user level, and you just need to reset those values. And resetting those values will just remove any selections that they've made on the user level, and it will default back to the selections you, the client admin, has made on the user level. And to do this, it's very easy to do. Just click reset user criteria values. And when you do click on that, a confirmation window will appear, and it will basically describe this process to you. Hey, are you sure you want to do this? Doing so will reset any values that this particular user has made for this particular role. And then we'll just say yes, reset user criteria values. So now when this user logs in, all of the reports will load with the role level selections that you've made, and it will remove any user level values that they may have saved inadvertently or anything like that. Finally, we can reset a user's password as well. So there's several ways to reset a password in Ops Insights. If a user has forgotten their password, they can go to the login page and enter their email and receive a reset password email as well. But if you want to do it for them, or they don't have the time to do it, you can do it for them as well here. You can just go to update user, reset their password, and a confirmation window will appear. Just click on reset password. And when you do this, a password email will be sent to that particular user, and they'll have the ability to log in with that new password. And then from there, they can go in and change it to whatever they're comfortable with as well. And finally, the last thing I wanted to cover is if you've made any changes when it comes to their status, their contact information, or their role assignment, all you need to do is click Update User, and those changes will be applied. So we'll just click Update User here, and that's all you need to do. So that's how to manage a user in Ops Insights. If you have any questions about this process, about how roles work, how criteria values and the levels of criteria work, or anything regarding users in Ops Insights, if you have any questions about that, check out our user documentation site or reach out to our support team, support@opsinsights.com. Thanks. We look forward to hearing from you.